Welcome to the Becks, a podcast that explores multimedia horror with hosts Becky and Sydney. Join us as we talk about movies, books, video games, music, and much, much more.
Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sydney Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Snow.
And we're the Becks. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're talking about YouTube short horror films.
Yeah, that was my idea.
It was.
Yes.
Good for you.
Thanks. No, I'm pretty excited. I watched, we each chose 3 off of a list that I just randomly pulled off of the internet.
The Googles.
Yes. So, yeah.
Well, since this was your very clever, creative idea, Rebecca Snow, why don't you start? What was the first YouTube short that you watched?
I chose I Heard It Too.
I Heard It Too.
Yes. And it starts out with a little girl being tucked into bed by her mama. And she said something about how old she was or something. And the mom said, well, not too old for me to sing you to sleep, right? She said, no. And they're British.
Gross. No, just
So they're British, so they have the cute little accents. She starts singing, Papa's Gonna Buy You a Mockingbird. And she sings the whole thing. And the time that she's singing it, the little girl's laying in bed. She's got her all tucked in. And she's, just leaning over her, singing to her. And they're showing pictures of the dad and different people, just candid family photos that are up along the headboard in the room.
very wholesome shit.
Yes. So she finishes singing it and kisses her and says, now you get to sleep. Good night. And the next scene is the little girl is waking up in bed, hearing her mother say, Bethany, where are you? Bethany, come here. I'm downstairs. Bethany. And she gets out of bed and says, Mama? She's probably 4, maybe 5. And she says, Bethany, I'm out here. Come here. Come find me.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
So she walks out of her bedroom and she's upstairs. Of course, everybody's always upstairs in these things.
They're all rich.
And she goes to walk to the stairs to go down and something grabs her from the next room. Mm. Well, yeah, it was a jump scare. I jumped anyways. And it was her mom. And her mom whispers, I heard it too. And she said, who is it, Mommy? And the mom's like, I don't know, but I'm sure they're leaving soon. And she goes over and she shuts the door. And she said, just be really quiet. They'll leave. And she said, should we go see who it is? And she said, no, we're just going to stay here. And then the voice gets more demanding. And it's the mom's voice. It is the mom's voice. And it says, Bethany, where are you? Don't make me come find you. I will be upset. And so they're in the bedroom and the mom says, get in the closet, hide. Don't come out. Don't say a word. So she puts her in the closet because you can hear something coming up the stairs.
Oh, no.
And so the mom grabs a pair of scissors and she's standing behind the door because the door opens in. And she's standing behind the door and she, the scene is like the camera is right on the hand with the scissors and she's just shaking. She's scared. And the door handle opens and it's one of the ones that pushes down. It's not a round one. It's like we have at our bathrooms at our work that pushes down to open. So it pushes down and the door starts swinging open and she's standing there ready and nothing's there. So she goes out in the hallway and she looks around. She sees nothing. She goes back into the closet and she said, Bethany, there's nothing there. It's okay. I don't know how there's nothing there. The door opened on its own. It opened. The handle moved, everything. She heard it coming up the stairs. And she can't find her daughter in the closet. She's gone. She's like, Bethany, where are you? And she starts panicking. And then she turns around. And before the little girl had left her bedroom to go find her mom when she first heard this, she had picked up her little stuffed bunny that she had. It looks like a homemade bunny. And the mom turns around and sees the homemade bunny on the floor, just right outside underneath the bed, right? So she gets down on all fours and looks, and the little girl's under the bed. And she said, Mommy, I saw her. And she said, you saw who? There's no one there. And you see the mom leaning down, talking to the little girl. The little girl's looking out at the mom, and you just see feet. Someone walking towards her. I'm getting goosebumps because this freaked me out so bad. And the little girl screams or closes her eyes and counts to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she opens them and everything's gone. Her mom and the feet lady.
The feet lady.
So she goes out looking for her, Mommy, and she hears, Bethany, come in your room. Bethany, come in your room. So she runs and she jumps in her bed and she covers up her head. And you see this woman, creepy, long black hair. Of course, it's always the ones with the long black hair, right? Come in and her face is distorted. You can't really see what she looks like. And she's kind of skinny and just moving really weird. And she comes towards the little girl. And the little girl is underneath the blanket. And she said, remember what I told you. Just count to 5. And her arms, this creepy woman's arms go around the little girl. And they pulls the blanket down. And the little girl's eyes are closed. And she's counting. And it's this woman's face. And her mouth opens up. And it's all distorted. And she's like... and she's like sucking air in. And... it's terrifying. She's terrifying.
Is it like the Dementors from Harry Potter?
Kind of. But, yeah, and then that's it. That's just it. That's it. It's over.
Scary.
Yeah. Yeah. I made Keegan and Laura watch it after I watched it.
It was very creepy. You just retelling it was giving me the creeps.
Yeah, that was the first one I watched.
So my question is, what would you do if you came home and you heard Jake calling you from upstairs? And then Jake comes in the door behind you and is like, what the fuck? Like, what would you do?
We would be out. I would be in my car and gone, and I would be, I don't know, call the Catholic Church. They do exorcisms, right? I don't know. But I would not go back in. Not if I clearly heard.
But how do you know which one is the real Jake?
Oh. No, I didn't think of that. Oh. I don't know. I would cry. I'd cry. I'd go sit in a corner and cry. That's what I would do. I don't know. It's terrifying.
Oh, that's really scary.
You literally hear someone's voice. This little girl heard her mother's voice. And this girl is so cute. She's so cute. And I just wonder how they film these, with little children like that. Because obviously you can't film it to where the child's traumatized by the scary thing in front of her. I'm sure it's all CGI, whatever.
Well, I think we've talked about this before. Something that Stanley Kubrick did in The Shining was the actor for Danny. He kind of just thought he was in a thriller movie. Like, they kept all of the scary stuff completely away from him. Even the scene where Shelley Duvall is screaming and running and carrying him, that's just a dummy. Because
they didn't want to traumatize
Stanley
the child.
Kubrick, he didn't know it was a horror film until he was much older.
So I'm sure, but it just, ugh. That one was scary. Even Keegan said, oh, that was scary. I said, yeah, it was.
It's really creepy. I think I've read similar stories on the internet before.
You'll have to watch it.
It's one of those, like,
I think it's only 7 minutes, so it's a nice short one that you can, just scare yourself to death.
I think all the ones that I watched were right around 10 to 15 minutes.
The second one I watched that we'll talk about shortly, I believe was longer. It kind of annoyed me, but we'll talk about that. So what was the first one you watched? Because this one scared me, so job well done.
The first one I watched was The Portrait of God. I loved this. I thought it was so creepy, so well done, so well acted. The effects were really good. Everything was super good. And I was telling Becky earlier, I actually watched, there's a making of a video that the director put out and kind of elucidated on all that stuff. So I got a little behind the scenes look too. So the basic premise of The Portrait of God is there's this girl who is obviously getting ready for a presentation. She sets a timer on her phone. She has note cards. She's in a projector room, and it's kind of like a PowerPoint presentation. And the whole video, before she starts her presentation, it actually opens up with a Bible verse. It's Ezekiel 33:20. No man shall see me and live. So I immediately knew that this was kind of a religious slant. There was going to be some type of religious slant to it. So she does this presentation, and she does it on something called an art piece called The Portrait of God. And when she goes to it, it's just like a blank picture.
Yeah.
On the, the white sheet, whatever that's called, that they use for projectors to project onto. It's blank. It's just kind of dark. And she's sitting in a really, really dark room, and it looks smoky. And
so it's just her by herself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she starts her presentation, and the whole thing takes like maybe a minute and a half, which to me felt kind of short. So she restarted it when she was done with it, though, trying to, I think, pad out the runtime of it. So she asks her audience what they see, and she says, if you can't see anything, then you're like most people. You're like me. But some people can see a man, and they all have very similar depictions that they have talked about. And she plays voice clips of all these people who are explaining what they're seeing in the picture. And they all explain they kind of say the same thing. Like, oh, it's a man. He's very skinny. He looks very gaunt. His smile is really wide. Oh, it looks a little too wide. His eyes are shining. There's something unsettling about it. Oh, it's so beautiful. So she plays that. And that I found to be really creepy. But she seems kind of disappointed that she doesn't see anything. And she even says at the end of her presentation, she's like, so why isn't he showing himself to us?
So only certain people. So they believe it's actually a portrait of God. So
yeah. Now, if you, just like the Bible verse, there's lots of stuff in the Bible that talk about how there's some type of price to seeing God. Like it's back to the cosmic horror thing. Like you look upon it, you kind of go crazy, or you go blind, or it's not meant for us.
Too much for our minds to handle.
Yeah. And while she's doing the presentation, she also is fingering a cross necklace. Okay. And she kind of looks like she's wearing like Catholic school girl uniform. So she starts the presentation over, and she starts recording it. And she starts to kind of see the faint outline of a figure. And she kind of trails off during her presentation, and she gets visibly excited. She goes closer to the projector sheet, and then the figure that keeps getting clearer and clearer, it turns its head towards her and looks at her. And then she gets freaked out. So she turns around, she runs out of the room. As soon as she closes the door and gets to the other side, everything goes dark, and it's like she's in this huge black empty void, and there's a spotlight pointed at her. And in the distance,
I'm running. I don't know where I'm running to, but I'm running.
In the distance, she sees the figure, just like on the paper. It starts to walk towards her, and you can hear the footsteps, and it's like it's echoey. And she's really freaked out at this point. She just turns away, like she backs away. But I think she realizes that there's nowhere to go. So she kind of just turns her face away and grips her rosary or her necklace. I don't know. I don't think it was an actual rosary. She grips her necklace and she starts praying under her breath. And meanwhile, you can see in the back, the figure just keeps getting closer and closer and closer to her. And then a hand, like a gross hand, grabs her face and makes it turn and look at it.
Oh.
And she opens her eyes.
So like a man would grab a woman's face to turn and kiss her or something like that. That's the kind of grab.
Very similar.
Okay. Now I'm crying like a little baby.
Not like aggressive. It just firm.
Okay.
So it wasn't like it was ripping her,
So just making her look at him or it or
him,
whatever it is. Yeah.
And as soon as she looks at it, the figure pulls its mouth super wide open. And again, the eyes are just glowing in the darkness, reflecting. But as it opens its mouth, there's like this light that starts shining in the back of its mouth or in the back of its throat or something. Mm-hmm. And her eyes are just drawn to it. This part reminded me of the deadlights that they talk about in It by Stephen King.
Oh, yeah.
Very similar things, because she kind of went into this trance. Like, she started out scared, and then it was like she was kind of overwhelmed, and then she was calm, and then she was awestruck. And the light gets brighter and brighter for the audience until, it overtakes the whole screen, and all of a sudden it cuts back to her back in the presentation room. She's standing in front of the projector screen. It's blank, like it was in the beginning, but the projector's still running. Her eyes are red, and there's tears falling down her face, like she's been staring at something for very long without blinking. Mm-hmm. And the timer on her phone reads 3 hours, 45 minutes, whatever. So she was just standing there staring at it the whole time. But the look on her face is just rapturous.
That's crazy.
But she's staring at like nothing. It was super, super cool. There's lots that I really liked about this. Obviously, the religious connotations were cool because I come from a religious background. And the actress's name, her life name was Sydney.
Oh! Uh-huh.
Spelled the same way and everything.
Wow.
I thought that was funny. The music was also super cool as well. One thing I want to share, too, is when they're editing for a film like this, a lot of editors, directors, whatever. So they use temp music when they're editing. One of the director in the behind-the-scenes video that I watched, he said he used 3 different movie scores to edit, and one of which was Annihilation.
Really?
Yes. I was like, what a weird coincidence.
That is super weird.
So, yeah.
So if you don't know and you haven't listened to our other episodes, we literally just posted last week.
Yeah.
Annihilation. We talked about Annihilation. So,
yeah.
Strange.
Just a very odd coincidence.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention, too, so her eyes are all red, like she hasn't blinked. There's tears all over her face. She's been clutching the cross necklace so hard that her hand is bleeding everywhere.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Super good. I highly recommend you watch it. Super good. So what was the next one you watched?
So the next one I watched is called 3 a.m. And again, like I said, there was a list that I pulled off the internet, so I just randomly picked. So I just searched 3 a.m. and I think I got the wrong one because as I was looking through things, there was one that's called 3 a.m. and it's award-winning. And the one I watched was not award-winning. So.
You found the B movie.
I think so.
The B movie equivalent of YouTube short horror films.
This one was 13 minutes long. A little bit longer than I cared to watch. It starts out with this Uber pulling up in front of a car. There's just kind of I would say, a yuppie kind of guy getting out. And he's talking on the phone. He's like, yeah, I gotta go. I'm here. I'm staying the weekend, whatever. Gotta go by. He's just kind of hurrying up with this phone call. And the Uber drives away, and there's this old man suddenly standing on the other side of the street. And he's like, hey, just like that. Hey, are you staying the weekend? And the guy turns and looks at him, and you can tell he's annoyed. He's, yeah. And he just stands there staring at him. So the guy uses the code to unlock the lock and get into the...
Probably Airbnb.
Probably an Airbnb, Verbo, whatever. He's staying at this house. So he puts the code in and he goes in and he's mumbling about the old man being stupid and this and that, whatever. So he goes in and he's looking around and it's a very nice house, pool in the back, beautiful home. So he kind of hears some things moving around and he looks around, there's nothing there. And so, okay, whatever. goes out to the pool and lounges by the pool and everything's fine. And he gets ready for bed and he goes and lays down and is falling asleep. And all of a sudden the alarm clock goes off. It's 3 a.m. It's 3 a.m. It's 3 a.m. And he's trying to shut it off and he gets it shut off, but he's hearing noises. He's hearing all these weird things, like something's happening. So he gets up and he goes and he looks and he's not finding anything. And he's walking down the hallway. It's 3 a.m. There's another alarm clock. It's 3 a.m.
So it's a physical alarm clock. It's not his phone.
Physical alarm clock.
Okay.
So he's completely annoyed. And he goes into the kitchen and is looking for things. And he sees something out at the pool. And, you can tell he's like, what the hell is that? And he walks out and it looks like it's a pool float, like one of the hot dog pool floats. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Okay. But there's this wig. He like reaches in and he's scared because he doesn't know what's going on. He reaches in and it's this big, long, black, scraggly wig. And he just kind of, what? You can see he's really confused. Like, what the hell is this? So he throws it down and he starts walking around and looking, and because he's hearing all these noises, like someone's trying to get in or someone's moving around or whatever. So he goes to get back in the sliding glass door and he's locked himself out.
But it's 3 a.m.
So he climbs over the fence and so this all took a long time. It was really a lot of
establishing shots and
quiet
darkness.
It was just a very long, drawn out process to get where we were going. So I kind of lost interest because of it. And some of the shots were so dark you really couldn't see what was going on. Like, it took a minute to figure out. I have a brand new TV, so it's not like my TV was old and I couldn't really see. Couldn't really tell what the wig was at first. I had to rewind it a couple times to see what was going on. And so he has to climb over the fence out front so he can get back in the house, let himself in because he knows the code. So I don't know how he thought it was normal for a sliding glass door to lock itself, because you can't physically do that. It has to be locked from the inside.
Yeah, that is strange. It's not like a regular doorknob where you can, flip
it and then pull it shut and it's locked. That's not the way those work. You have to actually flip it once it's shut. So here he is climbing over the fence, and it's a nice home, so it's one of those big heavy fences, so he had a hard time getting over it. And so he's going and he's like tripping over stuff, and there's lots of noises, and he's looking behind him because he hears all this stuff. And all of a sudden, you hear the old man, "Hey, it's 3 a.m., And he says, "Yeah, I fucking know." And he's walking, and then he realizes, wait, why is this man out here at 3 a.m.? And it kind of disturbs him. And he looks because he hears something, and it's this thing. And you couldn't really see what it was from the way it was filmed, but it looked like a nasty, gnarly face with that wig, that big, long, scraggly wig, and it's coming at him. And so he's trying to get in with the code, and he's punching the code incorrect from what we saw at the first time when he let himself in. And he can't get in, and he can't get in, and he can't get in, and all of a sudden everything stops. And then you hear, "It's 4 a.m." And he's just gone.
Wow.
But it didn't freak me out. It kind of made me mad because I couldn't really see what was happening. And I mean, the premise of it, I think, would have been really good if it was executed a little bit differently. And there wasn't so much empty space in leading to what we were doing. So, yeah, I was a little disappointed in this one. I didn't recommend it to anybody to watch. And
it sounds strange, for sure.
Yeah, it was. It was just kind of, not enjoyable for me.
Was the acting good?
No, not really.
Oh.
The old man, "Hey, it's 3 a.m. Yeah, that's
kind of silly.
It was kind of over the top. It was, I don't know, I just didn't, I probably will watch the award-winning one and see if it's anything like that one or if it's completely different.
Yeah, we'll probably be doing more episodes like this because there's a whole YouTube channel that I followed way back in the day. I think they're still making stuff. It's Bloody Cuts Films, and they do short films that are horror
There's
films.
so many short films out there, and some that are really, really good. Mm-hmm. I enjoy them. It gives you just that little scare, or not, because, but Yeah, there's just a lot of people that work really hard on them, so
Yeah.
it's kind of cool to watch. I kind of keep encouraging my son and his friend to make one or two because I think Keegan and Omen would make really good shorts. I think they would do a good job. And that's kind of what Keegan would like to get into is directing and doing films. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So what was the second one you watched?
The second one I watched was called The Doll Maker.
Okay.
So I was pretty excited about this. I thought it'd be creepy dolls.
Dolls are always creepy.
And it was, but it kind of pivoted in an interesting way.
Really?
So it starts out, there's this really creepy, sketchy basement. And you find out later on that it's this husband and wife. It's their basement. I thought they had gone into this basement and were talking to this weird old man. It wasn't. So there's...
So they had a weird old man in their basement?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, now I'm really confused. Okay.
So it starts out, there's this picture of this little boy in a coffin, and it's revealed that their son died. This one, interestingly, came with a warning on YouTube.
Really?
It was like an explicit content. It was for suicide and something else. I can't remember. Maybe self-harm.
Oh.
But it was like, do you want to proceed? And I'm like, yes. This is what I'm here for. The little boy dies, and it's revealed that there's a box in this basement with the creepy old man and the woman and man. And the creepy old man made a doll. And it apparently cost a ton of money for him to do this. The husband is not very happy with the whole situation. You can tell he's grieving, obviously, and he's frustrated with his wife, and he thinks the whole thing is a waste of money. But the old man's, he opens the box and he says, pick it up. It'll become your son. And so the doll looks pretty similar to him, very creepy, button eyes, a la Coraline,
Uh-huh.
And she picks it up and it turns into the little boy. And she's obviously overwhelmed.
So like a live little boy?
Yes. Yeah.
So it turns into her son?
Yeah.
Okay.
No trace of the doll left. Except the husband is still watching and it still looks just like a doll to him. So he reaches out and he grabs the little doll hand and it kind of flashes and looks like his son for a minute, but then it turns back into a doll for him. Okay. His wife still sees this little doll, okay, or this little boy.
Okay.
So she's like, oh my God, my son's back. It was totally worth the money. She gives him an envelope with a bunch of hundreds in it, and it was like totally worth it, And she asks him questions. She's like, it'll really be my son, and the old man just says, nobody's ever asked for their money back.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So they go upstairs and the old man just explains some rules. He's like, so it's only within the confines of the house because the house is where, you spent the majority of your time with your son. As soon as you take the doll outside of the property line, he just turns back into a doll. And so the husband is like, there has to be just a bunch of rules for this, right? And the old man says, there's only one. So I'm giving you an hourglass, and you have until the hourglass goes up, and you can spend all that time with your son. But as soon as the time goes out, you have to put him in the box and let him rest for a full day, and then you can take him back out and rinse and repeat. And the husband is like, okay, well, what happens if you don't put him back?
Just put him back. Just put him back.
Because it seems like you get like a full day, like maybe 8 or 10 hours out of it. It's not like it's 20 minutes or something. And the old man says, you'll start to lose your grip on reality.
Oh boy.
Like you'll start forgetting that he's actually, a doll. You'll forget that you even met me. Like all this, all that.
Uh-huh.
So the husband's like, no problem. It'll be fine. We'll put him back in the box, whatever. Well, it skips some time. It goes to the kitchen, and you just see this lady, this mom. She's just feeding this doll. But it looks just like a doll to the audience. So there's just like food all over the front of it. And it's really sad and upsetting, actually.
Yeah.
And it pans to the rest of the kitchen, and the kitchen is in a lot of disrepair. Like there's no dishes that have been done. It looks like the whole, like nothing is being taken care of. Her focus is on 100% on the doll. And of course, as the audience, you're like, oh, they just totally like threw away the hourglass. Whatever. The husband comes in and he looks like absolute shit. Okay. And he says, I told you at the funeral that I was strong enough for the both of us, but I'm finding now that that is not true. I need you as much as you need me. And I just need you. And she looks at him, like she looks up very slowly and looks at him, and she says, "What funeral?"
Oh, no.
So then the husband gets really mad, and he grabs her, and she's holding on to the doll still. And she's like, "Stop, let go, you're hurting me." And he's being kind of harsh with her.
Yeah.
And he's dragging her towards the back door so he can take her out so that...
She's away from the doll.
Yeah. Well, she's bringing the doll with her, so he's trying to get it to where, like, again, if they leave the property line,
it's
the
a
little
doll.
boy will just turn into a doll. So he's thinking, okay, she doesn't see a doll, right? She sees a little boy. So if he pulls her across the threshold, she'll come to her senses, right? Mm-hmm. Well, as soon as they cross the threshold, the son, turns into a doll. She turns into a doll, too. So then it cuts back, and... he said that he got really worried about her. He's talking to the doll maker. He said he got really worried for her because she was obsessed with the doll and she didn't want to put it back in the box. So he hid the doll. And instead of, it making her wake up or whatever, she went into this listless, horrible... She had like a mental breakdown and she killed herself.
Oh, no.
So he went back to the doll maker to have a doll made of her.
Oh.
And the husband said, "This works for adults too?" And the doll maker says, "Yes." And the husband says, "And it'll be just like her?" And the doll maker again says, "No one's ever asked for their money back."
Oh, boy.
And it cuts back to them at the house. He picks up his wife's doll and he runs back into the house, and she turns back into, a woman or whatever. But she's kind of listless, and it's just kind of strange.
Yeah.
And the camera pans over to the mantelpiece in the living room, and you can see the reflection of him holding his wife, but it's just a doll in the reflection. And the reflection is coming off of 2 hourglasses, and they're both broken.
Oh.
And that's how it ends.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so I went in thinking it was going to be creepy dolls, which, it still kind of is.
Yeah.
But it kind of...
It's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, like I understood the warning. It was really good. I did like it a lot, actually, but it...
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah, if you're sensitive about stuff like that, I would watch out on that one. But it was very well done. I feel like it was super well acted. They were telling a story and they were effective about it, for sure. All right, so what was the third and final one you watched?
The Smiling Man, which there is, again, more than one. I think when I first told you I was going to watch it, you thought you knew what one it was.
Yeah.
About a guy walking home and seeing a creepy guy smiling. That is not the one I chose.
Okay.
The one I chose starts out with a little girl sitting in her bedroom watching old black and white Mickey Mouse cartoons. Mm-hmm. And she hears something downstairs. Of course, again, downstairs, little girls, creepy things. So she goes out into the hallway at the top of the stairs and she sees a red balloon. So she walks over to the red balloon and picks it up, and it's got a baggie tied to it.
Uh-oh.
And she looks, she like lifts it over her head and she looks at it and you can see there's doll parts in it. Like a small doll, just little arms, I think is what you see.
Like, are we talking Barbie? Or
no, we're talking like a little, probably like a little porcelain, the little porcelain clown, like like they look like a mask face. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, so she sees this, she holds up, and there's a bunch of other stuff in there, but I really couldn't tell what it was. So she's looking around, and she hears something down the stairs, and she looks, and there's a landing about halfway down the stairs, and you just see, like, this creepy arm sit down a blue balloon, and then the arm just kind of disappears down the rest of the stairs. And it's white with long, creepy nails. Like painted white.
So wait, okay. Just clarification.
Yes.
Is the hand painted or are the nails
painted?
The
hand and nails are painted. Like it's almost like the skin, the flesh is painted and the nails are gross and white and creepy. Everything is just creepy looking. Because it's just a disembodied arm, basically, is what you see. Just drop it and go.
I don't like that.
No, me either. So she walks down to the blue balloon because, she's a kid and there's a balloon, woohoo. And she picks it up and again, same thing. Baggie full of stuff with doll parts. And she hears a door squeak upstairs as she's standing on this island, or not island, on the landing.
So she went
from upstairs down, because that's where the first balloon was. It was at the top of the stairs, a red balloon. Then halfway down the stairs is a landing. And she went down that and picked up the blue balloon and all of a sudden heard a squeak behind her upstairs. So she turned and the room that she had just come out of, the door was shutting. And so she kind of just looked at it. And as she's looking up there, this disembodied hand comes around and just runs its fingers through her hair and she feels it and she spins around completely all the way around on the landing and just is freaked out.
So she's scared now.
She's a little freaked out.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like, what is this? So she goes down the rest of the stairs and she sees a black balloon in the kitchen and there's a doll face, like a porcelain doll face in the baggie of this one. So she's looking at it. And all of a sudden, she sees this creepy man who is completely painted in white grease paint, black around his eyes, super long nails, super skinny, just really gross. And he's in the kitchen by the balloon. So she walks out there and she's standing and she sees grocery bags just all over the floor.
Like empty?
So, no, they were like someone had just gone to the store.
Okay.
And they were laying on the floor. All over the place.
Uh-oh.
So she walks out and she sees him in the kitchen and he's kind of crouched down on all fours, just moving around the kitchen floor.
I don't like that.
I know. It was so creepy. And then he turns to her and he smiles and his teeth are all sharp. All of them. And he holds up one finger like, wait a minute. And then he does this magic trick where he produces a ball and throws the ball and she grabs it and is playing with it. And then he's like, and he does the 1 minute again and he spins around and he reaches down and there's a pool of blood on the floor. And he reaches down and he scoops up the blood and he wipes it on his face and he's smiling at her. And then he turns around and he's like, he's all happy and laughing and oh, so creepy. And he steps back or moves back. And her mother, I'm assuming, it's a woman, is wrapped in plastic, still breathing. And he jumps back and kind of does the, ta-da, look at this, and points at this woman wrapped in plastic. And the little girl is, she physically shocked. And he smiles and is like, and is all laughing. And the woman kind of takes her last breath staring at the little girl.
Oh, no.
And then he moves back in front of the woman and he reaches down and gets more blood and makes his face into a big smile with the blood. And there you go. That's how it ends.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. That one creeped me out real bad.
Oh.
It was like, I had to lock the windows last night because it freaked me out a little bit. I'm like, okay. So that one, it was very well. It was good. The filming was good. The acting was good. The little girl was a little over top. She's a little girl, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was super creepy. I enjoyed it. Scared me a little bit. Creeped me out a whole bunch.
Yeah, you telling me about it was creepy.
Yeah, you have to watch it. Because, yeah. Smiling man. Just, and I showed you the picture today at lunch just so you would know, kind of. Yeah, no, it's super creepy. That's a good one. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
So, your third and final.
So this one was called The Maiden. And I just want to preface this by saying I had no idea what I was getting into with any of these. I didn't look anything up. I went in totally blind.
I did the same.
This one was it felt more like a traditional ghost story, kind of. So it opens up with this little girl, and she was running through this manor, and she's wearing this necklace, and it kind of focuses on the necklace. It's like a little gem. Very pretty. Looks old. And she's running and running away from this person, this apparition. And she gets out the front door of this house, and it's beautiful. It's like a French 2-story manor. I want to say beautiful. Mansion. It's not really a mansion. It's not that big, but, it has the pillars and everything like that. Beautiful. She, opens the front door, and it's like the French style where it's 2 doors, and she flings the doors open, and she gets out of the house, and she runs down the steps, and she's almost off the property. She stops just before she gets off the property, and she's breathing super hard because she's been running and she's very scared. And all of a sudden, she lifts up in the air and is like yanked backwards by nothing. And as soon as she passes back over the threshold of the house, the door slams shut.
So it sucked her back in.
Yeah.
My cousin Wes says that ghosts can't go outside, so this is not, they can't
ghosts
happen.
Can't go outside.
Yes, that's what he says.
Wes, I've never met you, but that is some shit that I just heard. Did you hear the disbelief in my voice when I said ghosts can't go outside?
Yes. That has been his excuse for years. Ghosts can't go outside, well, so you just leave and you're safe.
If that makes him feel better. So it cuts back to, I guess, present day. This lady is on her phone when she pulls up to a house. She's talking about, like, oh, yeah, I'll have it ready. She's wearing, like, a business skirt. It's kind of short. It's on the shorter side. And I only say that because I'm about to make a point later on. She's wearing a blouse. She looks pretty professional, but kind of like porn star professional, if that makes sense. I'm not saying this to disparage the woman at all. I just found her wardrobe to be very strange. She looked like she was filming a porno, not a short horror film. So she has this bucket with her, and she carries it in the house with her. I realized later on that it was a bucket of cleaning supplies.
Okay.
But it wasn't totally clear when she first got in. And, the house is empty of all furniture and stuff like that. She starts to clean it in her fucking miniskirt and blouse, her white blouse.
That's kind of porny.
And her heels. Like,
it's kind of porn-esque.
Yeah. And, she starts to hear some things creak. Let me pull up my notes. Because this one was kind of short, so it was kind of snappy. When I saw her wardrobe, though, I was like, this was directed by a man. And I was right. I looked at the credits just to prove something to myself. Anyway, she has her camera with her, and she's taking pictures. So she's cleaning, she's taking pictures. And they're really nice professional photos. Like, she hooks her camera up to her laptop and she's editing some stuff. She actually even, like, there's this weird ghostly apparition that she sees in one of the pictures, but she just edits it out, like, oh, you don't belong here, like, whatever. one of the times that she takes a picture, it's like in the attic, very creepy attic. There's
all attics are creepy. I don't care how nice they are.
there's obviously the camera flash, and there's this ghostly woman behind her, but she disappears, and she doesn't notice this. Later on, when she's editing the pictures in the dining room, or what serves as the dining room, she's just a little table that's set up for her to edit on. She sees a reflection. So her laptop screen kind of messes up, like it glitches and then it goes dark. And she sees the reflection of something standing behind her. The same ghostly apparition as before.
No, that's not cool.
And she gasps and she turns around and there's nothing there. And so she's like freaking out. She's breathing really heavy. Well, she turns around and the ghost is right there and is right in her face, and she screams. And instead of running away, she grabs like a hammer, which I guess was in her cleaning supplies for some reason. I don't know.
Well, she had to fix the nails if she was fixing up the house. Loose nails, you gotta pound them in. I don't know. I'm helping her out.
Yeah. So one of my notes was, instead of running away after that, she grabs a hammer and goes to investigate the creepiness upstairs. Like, run.
Yeah, no, I'm leaving. Don't ever say, let's go check it out, Becky, because Becky's gone.
So this is when it kind of veered into the comedic for me. I don't know if it was supposed to be funny or if I just found it funny because I'm weird. So she grabs a hammer, she goes upstairs. Upstairs is creepy, so she just changes her mind. She's like, absolutely, you know what? Fuck this. So she turns around and there's this ritual circle that just appeared, like pentagram, ram horns, candles, whole 9 yards. And she's looking at it and the music swells, like it's very dramatic, it's dark, the candles are all lit, it's very creepy. And her phone rings. And she answers it.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So she answers it, and I don't know if it was like her client or what it was. She's like, oh my God, you called at the perfect time, actually. Or that's not exactly what she says, but she was like, she said something about timing.
Yeah.
And she's like, what do you mean you're going to be here? And she's like, can you give me an hour? So she just starts cleaning up the ritual circle, like she vacuums it.
Oh my God.
And she's scrubbing or whatever. And so, yeah, I was laughing. I thought it was funny. She went from scared to just being like, I don't have time for this. Like, I just need to clean this up. Like, let me grab
Someone's coming to look at this house.
So then at this point, I'm like, oh, so she's a realtor.
Okay. Dressed like a porn star.
But then why is she cleaning the house? Because I was like, oh, maybe this is the new owner. It's not the new owner. So she's taking pictures for the Realty website. And then she's cleaning it up. Like, I don't know what realtors do, but to me, I don't feel like realtors do that.
I have no idea. I know my realtor didn't. She just took me to houses. She wasn't cleaning anything. That's up to the seller, I would think.
Yeah.
Weird.
So she's scrubbing the floor again in her mini skirt and her heels and her white blouse, her pristine white blouse.
No woman in her right mind does that.
I know. If you're going to be cleaning, you're going to be in jeans or something.
Exactly. Sweatpants. I don't care, but not a mini skirt and heels.
So she's scrubbing. She kind of takes a break. She hears something come from the mop bucket.
From the mop bucket?
Yeah. And it's filled with dirty water. And she's looking in the mop bucket, and all of a sudden these hands come out and grab her, and she's struggling against them. They're trying to pull her into the water, and it succeeds in pulling her into the water, and she almost gets drowned.
In the mop bucket?
Yeah. But it rips off her necklace, which, I forgot to mention, when she was looking around and taking pictures of stuff, she found the necklace that the little girl at the beginning was wearing.
Oh.
So she put it on because I guess she thought it was pretty. Which also, very sketchy.
Yeah, you're stealing someone's stuff.
She doesn't seem like a very respectable realtor, is all I'm saying. So when, like, the hands release her and she's, like, gasping for air, her hair is all wet, whatever. A hand reaches out and grabs the necklace and rips it off her and disappears back into the mop bucket.
The mop bucket is what throws me off.
Yeah. So my question to you is, what would you do after that?
I'm gone. I'm not cleaning another thing. You can have your mop bucket from hell.
So what she does is she waits around for the client to come. And she meets him out front. Her hair's still wet. Like I think she like finger combed it, whatever. But it's still wet. And he's like, "What the fuck happened to you?" And she's like, "It's a long story. We don't have time to get into it." Like, she's so serious about selling this house right now. I'm sorry. No job is worth my life.
Drowning in a mop bucket.
So he's kind of a dick. He just acts like an asshole. And I think she's kind of tired of his assholishness too. So she's thinking, obviously you can see on her face, she's thinking about how it's haunted and she almost died. And she's like, I should sell it to this guy. Fuck that guy.
Mm-hmm. Let him drown in the mop bucket.
But then, so he agrees to her selling price. They negotiate, you know. And this is when I was like, oh, she for sure is the realtor. This is very strange.
Yeah.
And he agrees to the price, and she's like, are you going to tear it down? Because he didn't seem that excited about it. He said it was a dump, like there was a fire or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, I don't, no, I'm going to fix it up. It's going to be great for me and my daughter. And his daughter runs around, and she's young, and she's running, and she's like, Daddy. And he's like, hi, Peanut, you know, go upstairs and pick out what room you want. And before it was revealed that he had a daughter, she goes into the history of the house a little bit. And she talks about how the original owner built it for his wife, and he nicknamed it the Maiden because it was untouched.
Oh.
Let's think about that for a minute. Let's just let that sit. Very creepy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the daughter gets yoinked by the house ghost. And sucked into the house, and that's when it ends.
Oh, poor little girl. Damn realtor. She could have just left.
I know.
So which one was your favorite?
Oh, the Portrait of God, for sure.
Yeah.
But I did really like the doll maker, too. It was horrific, but in, like, a real life kind of way.
Yeah, because grief does horrible things to people, so...
Yeah.
I mean, there have been... Yeah. As a mother, I don't know how I would do with the loss of my child. I would find my way into insanity, I think.
You think you'd hire a doll maker?
Yeah. Yeah. The loss of a child is unnatural.
He was creepy, the doll maker was. He didn't seem to be malicious, though. Yeah. He was just kind of a weird old man that made dolls for grieving people.
He laid down the rules. People didn't follow.
Yeah, he even said, too, that he's like, if you don't follow the rules, that's, you know, I'm washing my hands of this. Like, I told you what they were. If bad shit happens, it's not my problem.
Yeah. So my favorite, I don't know, I really enjoyed, I heard it, too.
Mm-hmm.
But the Smiling Man was good. So those two were... I think I heard it, too, would probably be it's the one that made me jump.
Yeah.
It gave me a jump scare, and it kept me on the edge of my seat, where the Smiling Man was just super creepy. It was just creepy.
Very unsettling.
Yeah, there were no jump scares for me. You saw everything coming. It was gross and...
Also, there wasn't anything real supernatural about it. It was just a fucking unhinged, crazy killer person.
Yes, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Except for the disembodied hand that just touched your hair. I mean,
true.
So that was kind of creepy. But, no. So the other one, the whole unknown, nope, I heard it too. Just the way your mother says, I heard it too.
Huh.
And... Bethany, you should make you watch it before you leave tonight because it'll creep you out some. But yeah, no, it was very good. That was my favorite one, I think.
One thing I want to mention today is when we're recording this, August 22nd, is World Folklore Day.
Yes.
So I just want to mention that. Especially the I Heard It Too story.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about... I've come across it on the internet before. The Appalachian Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
There's like things that mimic your loved ones' voices and stuff, and you're never supposed to, like, respond to them or, like, give them any attention or do anything like that. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you heard about that?
I haven't heard about it, but the Appalachian Mountains are terrifying.
Yeah.
Creepy and scary. I mean, they're beautiful.
They're older than trees or something. There's something I've heard about those mountains. They're, like, super old.
Yeah.
They, like, predate everything else. Like, back when the continents were not separated. Shit. Like, really old. Creepy stuff.
Yes. So, yeah. I enjoyed watching these little shorts. Because they're all so different, so it gives you quite a few different things to talk about and see. And, yeah.
I liked it too because I hadn't heard of any of these.
Yeah.
At least the ones that I chose. There might have been familiar ones on the list, but so I just liked going in completely blind. Like, I had no idea what I was getting into. It was super fun.
Yeah, it was. I agree. I liked it too.
So I think that's going to be all for this episode.
Yeah.
Next week we'll talk about something.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise. We talked about doing Abigail, which is a fun little horror movie that came out recently. And I got a graphic novel from my friend Lizzie that is a collection of short little horror stories, but they're illustrated. Mm-hmm. So we could talk about that at some point. So that would be cool. We'll never run out of things to talk about. There's lots of very
so much, yeah.
Spooky things.
Spooky things in real life, spooky things in movies, spooky things all over the place. So,
yeah. Today the pod, tomorrow the world. My name is Sydney Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Snow.
And we're the Becks.